So I wanted my March video vibe to be as though we are in a rave, and I think I have accomplished this with this amazing lighting, if I do say so myself. Apologies if it actually uploads a little bit weirdly. I don't know how this is going to turn out. I might have to do some colour corrections, but here we are. So welcome, this is my March TBR. I'm recording this on the last day of February, which was a very busy month for me. It was absolutely manic. I'll talk about it more in my February wrap up because I think that's probably the best place to do that. But basically I got a promotion and started my new job while a lot of other stuff is going on at my office. So I didn't manage to read 28 books in 28 days like I said I would, but that hasn't stopped me from making March very, very ambitious. I have a total of, I don't know, 13, 14 books here that I really want to read in March, plus more that I am also considering, except my best friend is coming over from the US to stay with me for a little bit, and that's going to throw a huge spanner in the works, a wrench in my plans, and I don't know how it's going to go, but you're here to see the books, not to hear me kind of figure out my life. So let's go. One of the first books I really want to read in March is one that I'm starting very, very soon, and that is The Weight of the Stars. I don't know if you can really tell, but the cover is stunning. So this one is actually more of a contemporary book rather than sci-fi like I initially thought, but my colleague read this recently and didn't want it anymore, so she gave it to me. It says here that it's gentle and gracious. It's a romance about girls and stars and friendship and mercy and loss and regret. I think it sounds absolutely fantastic. From what I have read, all of my friends seem to really enjoy it, the ones who have read it anyway. I was recommended to read The Wicked King first, but I don't own that book, so I'm going to read this one first and completely rebel against what my friend Nikki told me. It's fine, it's fine. Next, I would really like to read The Water Knife by Paolo Bacigalupi. This is a post-apocalyptic dystopian sort of story based around a water war. I think it's set in the desert in Las Vegas, possibly also Arizona, that kind of way, and it's about these places battling for water because water has run out in this post-apocalyptic landscape. I'm really into cli-fi at the moment, at least I'm trying to get more into it because I'm really into sustainability and environmentalism, so it makes sense that I try to kind of merge that passion with my passion of reading. And I've been meaning to read this for ages. I've owned it for absolute years, and I've also owned his other book, which I believe was called The Wind-Up Girl, for ages as well. I read a book by him years ago, probably in like 2011, called Shipped or Shipwreck or something. I'll put the cover on the screen, and I really, really enjoyed that, so I'm looking forward to reading this one. I think I'm going to love it. Then I also really want to read The Black Prism by Brent Weeks. This one is the first book in the Lightbringer series, and I need to read this one because I broke my book buying ban, and one of the rules that I'd set for myself in February, because I found 3 out of 5 of these books in hardcover for £2 from the charity shop. I think that's like $3.50 or something. It was an absolutely fantastic deal and I could not pass it up. I found books 2, 3 and 4 for that price, but because I've done that, I feel really bad about buying books to a series that I haven't actually started yet. So I have a new rule. Basically, if I buy follow-up books in a series that I haven't started yet, I have to start that series the following month, so I'm at least making progress. I've heard really good things about this series. I've heard that the final book doesn't end very well, which I can cope with as long as the rest of the series is really good and I'm prepared for it. I believe this fantasy world has something to do with light and colours and things, and that's all I know about it, and I'm expecting it to be really, really good. Then another fantasy book that I want to read is Kingdom of the Wicked. So I had a dream about this one recently. I can't remember what the dream was about in any way, but it made me really, really want to read this one and then also read the sequel, which apparently gets a bit dirtier and smuttier, which is fun because I haven't really read many fantasy series that do that kind of like sort of age up with their audience. I don't know loads about this one. I think the main character lives in Italy maybe, and her twin sister is murdered, so maybe it's like an urban fantasy kind of thing. I'm not really sure. I'm looking forward to reading it. I think it's going to be a really fast read and that I'm going to enjoy it. Next, I would really like to read Ariadne. I bought this one in January, and as part of my reading goals, if you don't know already, I'm trying to read books soon to the time that I'm purchasing them. I think I said that I would try to read them within 3 months of purchase, so I need to read this one in March or April, and I'm choosing March because it sounds really good. I'm really in the mood for some Greek mythology. If I don't get to this one, I do want to get to 1,000 Ships because that's kind of along the same lines, and that's the sort of vibe that I am into at the moment. I'm really in the mood for it, but I don't want to overdo it, so it'll be one or the other, either this one or 1,000 Ships. I don't know why I didn't pick up 1,000 Ships to show you. I really should have done. And then I also really want to read some more Backless Booktube books. So I started this project a little while ago and I was going to vlog it. So my initial plan was to read a bunch of really old books that were hyped up on Booktube when I first joined in 2010, 2011, read through them, figure out if they would hold up now. And I have vlogged the first in that series, and I'm debating whether to upload it because now I'm not sure if I want to kind of do a bit of a longer sit down video on the topic and talk about the books all at once in bulk, or do reading vlogs for each time I read 3 books. I'm not sure. Let me know what you prefer in the comments below. I think maybe I could turn it into more of a quarterly thing instead, because I'm not very good at vlogging now, in my opinion. I've kind of lost that skill somewhere. But anyway, the next 3 books are here, the ones I want to read this month. The first one is Wake by Lisa McMahon. This one was huge when it first came out. It first released in 2008, so when I joined BookTube in 2010, the 3rd and final book would have been coming out, and that's why this was so hyped up. I have no idea what this one is about. Why is my nose so itchy? It says here that the main character Janie keeps getting sucked into other people's dreams. She can't tell anyone about what she does, but they'll never believe her. I think she might see a murder or something, so maybe it's more of a paranormal thriller. I don't know. I'm really looking forward to it, despite it being so old. The next one is another one that I don't really know much about. That is Vesper by Jeff Samson. So I think this is another one. It's the start of a series, I think. It starts off with Emily Webb is a Geek, which is great. I'm sure I read another one recently where it had the same sort of description. Weird. This came out, it doesn't say when this one came out, I'm not entirely sure. 2011, so again it would have come out like right away when I first joined BookTube. So it says here, Emily Webb is a geek. She wants to hide under hoodies, curling up to watch old horror flicks. She's not the kind of girl who starts fights or flirts with other girls' boyfriends. However, one night she finds herself doing exactly that, the same night that one of her classmates, also named Emily, is murdered. That doesn't really tell me much, I'm gonna be honest. I don't really remember why I bought this one. I'm going to go through my old BookTube videos, the ones that I've privated since, and figure out what made me pick this one up. It was probably all the advanced readers copies that were coming out. And the next one, and the final one I want to read for this kind of project that I'm doing, is Once a Witch by Carolyn McCullough, if that's how you pronounce it. So this one I think is paranormal. The main character is probably a witch, and I got this one because I requested the sequel on NetGalley before I really knew how to use NetGalley, and I didn't realise that it was a sequel to an already published book. I thought it was the first book, but it wasn't, and I still haven't read it, which is really, really bad of me, but that's just the kind of person I was back in 2010. So this one, it says the main character goes to a boarding school. A handsome young professor from NYU arrives at the shop. Okay, so is this gonna be like a questionable romance? I don't know, but I'm gonna find out and tell you. And then the final ones that I actually want to show you today, they're on advanced readers copies, are books that I got from the library, so the shine on these is going to be fantastic. First of all, we have Sunderland Ascends. I'm really surprised that my library had this one. I've had it on my wish list for a while now because I really liked the sound of it. Reagan from, I can't remember her BookTube channel, I'm sure you all know who I'm talking about, has been reading through this series and has been really enjoying it. So I think it's about a main character who loses his wife. I think she gets kidnapped or killed or something, and to either avenge her or go and save her, I can't remember which, he has to climb the Tower of Babel. And each floor there is some sort of like new adventure or thing that he has to conquer. It sounds really, really good. And I have heard that the main character doesn't treat, or the author doesn't treat, the female characters in this very well. I've also heard that that improves, so I have faith I'm going to enjoy it. I'm really looking forward to reading this. I'm hyped. Then we have Hamnet, which I, again, am surprised my library had because it doesn't always have the biggest books in stock, and there's often quite a long waiting list as well, but this one was just there, so I grabbed it. This is historical fiction set during plague times in England. You probably all know what it's about because it's been going around BookTube a lot. It's not really my typical read, but I am really into historical fiction at the moment, as you can tell from the Greek mythology books that I've been purchasing. So I'm looking forward to reading this one. I think it's probably going to make me cry. Next is one that I've mentioned quite a few times before, but I thought I would show you again because I actually plan on reading it this month. That is Turning the Tide on Plastic. It's non-fiction about cleaning up the globe, I think, and again tying in with the environmentalism thing that I have going on. And then lastly, for physical copies, I have An Anonymous Girl by Greer Hendricks and Sarah Pekkanen. So this is their second thriller book that they wrote together. I think they've released a couple more since this one came out. I really enjoyed The Wife Between Us, which was their first book. Really, really like that one. And I've heard this one isn't as good, but I'm willing to give it a go. I'm not going to read the synopsis because I don't do that for thrillers. If you've been here long enough, you will know that I don't like to spoil myself, especially for thrillers. So I don't really read the synopses for backs of books. But I do think I will probably enjoy this one when I'm in the mood for a thriller, and I'm really hoping that I'm going to be very, very soon. And that is it for physical books. I'm just going to have a quick scroll through my NetGalley shelf to see what I have going on there, because there's probably something. While I'm talking to you, actually, I did want to mention that The River of Silver is coming out tomorrow as I'm recording this, and I've already read it. I read it on the last day of February because I just could not wait. Got it from NetGalley and it was absolutely fantastic. I love her books so much, and this is the short story companion novel to The City of Brass, and I would highly, highly recommend checking it out. Anyway, in terms of review copies that I have coming out in March, there aren't really too many. Actually, that's a lie, there are quite a few, more than I thought. So really, really quickly, I'm not going to go into detail about any of these, they're just ones I hope to read very soon. We have The Clockwork Girl, The Paris Apartment, which is high, high, high up on my TBR, The Atlas 6, which I should probably make an effort to read, The Night Shift, which I'm so excited about, and this is another one along with The Paris Apartment that I'm dying to read and might start tonight. Dig Two Graves, Family Holiday, and that is it. So there are quite a few books that I would really like to read in March, and it's going to be a very, very busy month for me, so we'll see how I do at the end of the month. Thank you so much for watching this video. Let me know what you think of the fancy lighting. I really, really enjoy it, so I might do this again for my next video, unless it hurts anyone's eyes, in which case I'm sorry. I thought it would be fine. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll speak to you all in the next one. Bye.